Green Lantern 27, Legacy number 594. Jeremy Adams writing with XERMANICO on the art. So, this is the penultimate part of the Starbreaker Supremacy. It starts off with a little flashback of Hal and John, where they're debating who got to pay the bill after dinner, and Hal's still paying the bill, and admits that he was a little jealous when John first became a Green Lantern because he wasn't the special only human Green Lantern anymore. But they've had their backs for years, and it's just a kind of a heartwarming scene. And it's like, okay, why are you putting this here, Adams? I smell something sad by the end of this issue. And sure enough, at least for the time being, it seems like John has sacrificed himself. Or maybe at the very least you could say that he's become the entity inside the power batteries, is kind of what it feels like. But yeah, so we get the Green Lanterns who were out on the mission on the ship, racing back to Oa, debating the fact that, look, we barely survived when we had those entities to help fight them with us. Now we don't even have that. Like, what can we even do? Sinestro's been a bit of a downer about the whole thing. And they're like, well, what else can we do? And it's actually the ring with John's mom in it, or the idea of John's mother says, no, John's going to have a plan because he always has a plan. So, and he does have a plan. John Stewart's whole plan is to convince all of the prisoners in the science cells to help fight the Starbreaker Corps, because ultimately they're going to kill everyone here, so it's in all your interest to do this. And basically they all bang on the glass to kind of say, yeah, we're all in, let's do it. Which leads to the big moment later on in the book when John does give himself to the power batteries, which lights them all up. So we get this glorious big sequence of the rings flying out to Atrocitus. He gets a red ring back. Larfreeze gets his. They all say their oaths and all that. We get that page where it's all split into almost like the Trivial Pursuit pizza of colors.
Yes,
is what I call it.
-1, which there's, I have questions here that we've seen. The violent energy is not represented here, and I know Carol's running around with the Justice League and stuff.
Well, she's here,
but no, I know, but the absence of the violent energy and stuff, as I'm sure is a story point to come.
Just say the word again for me. Say the color.
Violet.
Yeah. Because every time you said it in the last 30 seconds, it sounded like you were saying violent, and you keep saying the violent energy, and I'm like, violent? What are you talking about?
I mean, it's just the type of energy I contain, Pete. Is violent energy.
Apparently, you just...
Yes, violet. There we go. I'll spread it out more. But yeah, that was a really cool scene. As a long-time Green Lantern nerd, right? Seeing them all do their oaths here wasn't necessary, but was it cool?
It's been a while. Yeah, it felt like a nice thing to see it again. I was popping for Larfreeze getting these, what's mine is mine, it's not yours, it's mine, that whole oath. Yeah, so yeah, they also do a little bit more stuff with the gauntlet, right? Where
Krona.
Yeah, Ellie's kind of saying, hey, this is a big deal, we have to go deal with this. And the poor girl is trying to tell John Stewart that there's a serious problem with this Krona stuff, and he's like, this will have to wait, we've got too much stuff going on, don't tell me. And I'm like, John, listen to her, this is kind of a big deal. So we see Baz with the Krona gauntlet doing stuff, but we, again, we're still building to whatever that's going to be. I do want to point out though, the layout in that double page layout, not a spread per se, where John is making the speech to all the villains in the science cells, where it's looking down and it's this big circular shaft with all the cells, and all the panels are made into forming a circle around the edges of this. So it's got a really cool layout that feels like you're looking down this infinite prison effectively. Really cool stuff.
And then all the panels, and you can see villains and whoever that we can recognize, right? Through there, Larfleeze and Atrocitus, the Dark Star guy that they brought in before, I don't know his name, but yeah, Bleeze is there, Dexstar. So I thought that was really cool too, that it makes that spiral.
Who's the big-headed Red Lantern? That one's there too.
Oh God, I want to say Zilius Zox.
Oh, that sounds.
If I remember right.
That's ringing a bell. That sounds at least close, if not bang on. So he's there because he gets a red ring back as well when John does his whole thing. So So the Corona stuff's still up in there. We still got that. Interestingly, though, when John does his whole thing, goes into the power batteries, they're all lighting up, everyone's getting their rings, which is a really fun, big, spectacular moment. It's interesting that what's his face, the Saint Walker, he was in green, like he had a Green Lantern ring, but he becomes blue again when he gets a blue ring back. But the big moment here is that, because I thought what was going to happen here is that Kelly was going to get a proper ring, and it was going to be like, hey, you've got a ring now, you don't need the gauntlet. Instead, the sister, the Construct, which they even teased that she might disappear, because John, before he goes into the power battery, says, hey, I don't know what's going to happen to you if I'm technically not around, like feeding you my willpower, right? Because technically you exist as part of my will. But instead of anything else, it's a ring comes to her. So we actually have a Construct is now a Green Lantern herself, which is an interesting idea.
And it's a blue ring, right? So what we knew about the blue rings were Hope by itself it couldn't do much, but with the green, it would superpower it. So if a blue ring goes on this living green construct, what does that mean?
Do you know, you're right, and I didn't notice, because I'm going to actually critique this a little bit. I think they could have made that more obvious with the colors. Because she's still so bathed in, and I get that she would still be green because she's a construct, but the outfit should be blue, I think. And I think the blue ring, because I'm looking at it now, it is slightly blue compared to her hand. Yeah. But it could be a stronger blue. Like, what the hell?
What made me know that it was blue was the flash in the lettering.
Yeah, well, I'm looking
all blue.
I'm looking at the symbol on her chest. That is the blue symbol, right? Right. So it does make sense. I'm just critiquing that it didn't stick out as obvious to me that it was a blue ring. I thought it was a green ring because the coloring wasn't strong enough to like really point out this is a blue ring and a blue suit. So I would argue that a little bit, but I mean, fair enough. That is still interesting. Maybe the idea is that because like this is like John's creation who is built out of the hope or something, like she is inherently hopeful, but it is curious because I was going to suggest when I thought it was a green ring that this was literally still just John's will, that John had picked her because he's in there now, but instead it's the blue lantern that's doing it. So who knows? And
they point out the reason why he can go in and relight the lanterns, right, is because he was chosen by the Source.
Oh yeah, it was Source.
Because of his insurmountable will.
Matt, see, before you explain this is the sort of stuff where they just start saying, oh, he got Source energy like 10 arcs ago, and I'm just like, yeah, fine, whatever.
Yeah. Well, no, but like he had this insurmountable will, and it was through that will that he was able to keep his mom's memory alive in the ring, right? And then bring his sister. And so this is what essentially makes him have the decision that he should be the one to go do this.
Yes,
because he's having a hard time keeping it all in check, and he's going to go and restart it.
Yes, they're pointed out. They're just dotting their I's and crossing their T's. They're saying this is why he can do this when no other Green Lantern can, is because he has this extra supercharged energy from the Source Wall, meaning that he has unlimited willpower in comparison to everyone else. That's fine. Whenever they bring this stuff up, though, I'm like, I'm never going to remember this bullshit that you did.
That's all I need to know.
Ago.
Is that he had the Source energy and all that type of stuff, but having that through and him relighting all of these power batteries, I thought was super, super cool.
Yeah. So the book just ends with the Starbreaker Corps is arriving, but obviously we've just supercharged everyone, and the ending of this arc is in the next issue of Green Lantern Corps. So it was a 6-issue arc all in between the two books, which obviously took place over 3 months. So that's kind of fun. I was actually looking at the collections for Green Lantern, and I didn't really notice, but the last Green Lantern arc, or maybe 2 arcs ago, was heavily sped up as well by 2 specials, so it effectively double shipped in 2 months to have an arc much quicker. So they've done this a couple of times where they've kind of sped up some of the arcs in this book by having it kind of bleed into a second book kind of thing, but which is not a complaint. It makes the story flow a bit quicker, so I'm not fussed about it. It's just interesting to note they've done it a couple of times now.
Do we think that Kelly's going to remain Teen Lantern? Do you think they'll work away? Because I feel like they've kind of done away with the rings picking people, right? And like with that little, I think his name's Narf, right? Like he has the ability to have great will, just like I feel Kelly does. So I feel like if she wants to choose to be a Lantern, I feel like that's ultimately you know.
This is how our minds work differently, Matt, because you're trying to justify it from a lore perspective. I think she's definitely going to be sticking around in some form, possibly as a lantern, but not because of lore reasons. Like, they'll explain it however they want to. They'll make up something. Who cares?
Okay.
She's going to stick around because I think they've built her up enough that they want to keep her around. Like, they've not spent all this time building her character up to like get rid of her. So from a writing standpoint, she's sticking around.
Yeah. But I was just like, in what type of way? Like, can she create like she has that gauntlet, right? That's what she's used to. You know, like, will she, after they defeat Corona, will she be able to have her own gauntlet, you know, back? And then that's how she stays Teen Lantern. And I do like how her origin was so different, right? That she had found this thing or whatever. So I just hope they keep that aspect of it that makes her feel unique. So
I just hope the story's good. I mean, I don't know. Like, at a certain point, some of this stuff is just like whatever nerdy reason they came up with. Like, I'll roll with it to a point unless it feels like you're especially talking bullshit. Is basically my attitude. All right, what are you giving? Oh, you already rated it.
No,
oh, you didn't. I'll rate it then.
No, I'm gonna give it a 7.5. It's pretty strong, pretty decent.
Yeah, I agree with the 7.5. I think it's just slightly falling short of great. Just purely because, well, it's not even so much that this issue per se. I think the arc as a whole is falling just short of great, but it's been a pretty enjoyable payoff to what they've been building to. I keep saying this with this run, but it really is like a book that I enjoy the run more than I enjoy like an individual issue in a weird way. Really, I think it's more than the sum of its parts, and I like that it's keeping all these characters involved, and it made me nostalgic to have them all get their rings back and say all their oaths, because I'm like, hey, my first big Green Lantern run was very much that 2000s, you know, like all those cores been introduced, so I feel like a big deal. So, and I think some of the layouts and the art are pretty good. And obviously Zermanico is a very strong artist in general, but there's a lot of good layouts in this one in particular. So I will agree with a 7.5.